What is up, everyone? Welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Panthers last season, their offseason up to this point, and how I think they're going to do in this next upcoming season, while also playing Madden 24 with the Carolina Panthers. So it's going to be kind of a 2-for-1 video. So the Panthers, they went 2-15, and they had the worst record in the NFL, and Bryce Young had probably one of the worst rookie seasons he could have possibly had. And usually whenever you are the worst team in the NFL, you'd think they'd have the first overall pick, right? Well, no, because they traded that pick last season, or 2 seasons ago, 2 off seasons ago, to the Chicago Bears for the pick to get Bryce Young. So it's like, you know, it's kind of unfortunate that they gave up all of these assets for a guy, and he had as poor of a rookie season as he did. But there are some contributing factors to that. He had basically zero help. Outside of Adam Thielen, he had no help on his offense. His offensive line was terrible. And as I mentioned, his wide receiver core outside of Adam Thielen also was not very good. So it just was not a very favorable situation for him. But they did address their wide receivers during this offseason. They got Deontay Johnson from the Steelers, and they also traded Dante Jackson. He is a cornerback for a wide receiver on the Steelers. They just basically swapped players. And they also drafted, because they didn't originally have a first round pick, but they did trade up and get the 32nd pick, and they got wide receiver Xavier Legette. So hopefully he'll help them out a little bit. And let's see, they also signed Damian Lewis and Robert Hunt on the offensive line. Damian Lewis originally played for the Seahawks last season. Robert Hunt played for the Dolphins. And those two guys should help Bryce Young have more time in the pocket, because he just had zero time to even really make any decisions. And whenever you have a rookie QB who is vulnerable, you know, that's not putting him up. That's not setting him up for success. They didn't really do him any favors, not giving him the help that he needs. So this next season, I mean, if they can get him the help like they did, and he can, you know, do better, that'd be good for them. But we'll have to wait and see how he does. I know some people think Bryce Young sucks, but it's like, you can't really say a player sucks if they've played 1 year with basically zero supporting cast, and they do bad. Now, if he does bad this year, then I can, you know, see where those people are coming from. But you have to see how he does with some help around him, because he really had none. They also got rid of Brian Burns. They traded him to the Giants in the offseason. That's a little unfortunate for them, because he is one of their best players. He was their best player easily. And he was on their defense, and their defense, as bad as they were, their defense honestly wasn't like as bad as you would think. It was really just their offense not picking up the slack. And whenever your offense is bad enough to not, you know, score any points in the last 2 weeks, you know, that just shows how bad their offense truly was. And let's see, they got Jadeveon Clowney from the Ravens to, I guess, try to, you know, nullify the Brian Burns trade. I mean, in my opinion, I think Brian Burns is a lot better, but they just didn't want to pay him, which, I mean, I guess is understandable, because they do have, you know, a quarterback that they hope is going to be good someday, and they want to pay him at some point. Although I do think this team will be improved, I don't necessarily think their record's going to be that much better, because, I mean, 2-15 was pretty bad. And even in the 2 games that they won, I mean, they only won the games by a combined 4 points. So it's like, they probably could have gone like 0-17 or something if they didn't get a stroke of luck in some games. So I don't think they'll do, like a lot better. Like I think they will do better, but I don't think it'll be, a 1-year turnaround like, what the Texans did with CJ Stroud, like the last season. I think it's going to take probably at least 2 or 3 years before this team is really going to be competing again. And I think my team ceiling for this team is probably like 7 wins or something like that, just because, this is still a very young team. It's a sophomore quarterback, and despite them helping him, they didn't exactly go out and get, Tyreek Hill for him or something like that. Like, they still, don't have the greatest roster. But that'll change. I'm sure that'll change if Bryce Young starts to play better, because then players are going to want to come to Carolina. They're not going to have to pay him more money to try and convince them to come to the Panthers, because that's kind of what the Panthers have to do at this point in time. And unless Bryce Young actually starts playing better, that's how a lot of players are going to feel. They're not going to want to come and play for a team that's going to suck forever. But if Bryce Young starts playing better and the Panthers start showing some signs of improvement, that's going to make players want to come and play for this team. So hopefully for the Panthers' sake, Bryce Young plays well, because they sacrificed a lot for him. And it's really suck if they had to get rid of him after next season or something, if he's not the guy, because I would hope they thought he was the guy if they traded 2 first-round picks just so they could go up and get him. And it just, you just have to hope that the Panthers knew what they were doing when they made that trade, because I thought it was a stupid trade at the time. I'm not gonna lie. They should have just stayed at, I think it was pick 9. I can't remember what pick they had, but they would have been so much better off just sticking with what they had instead of sacrificing their future first-round pick and the first-round pick they had that season, all to get a rookie QB that honestly I don't think was the greatest prospect. He wasn't a bad prospect, but he wasn't first overall pick material in my opinion. I think he was just a weak quarterback class, ironically, but it's hindsight's 2020, so saying that now is kind of ridiculous considering CJ Stroud had the season he did. But I think CJ Stroud would have sucked with the Panthers too. I don't think any quarterback who was coming into his rookie season would have had the season that CJ Stroud did. You can't realistically expect any rookie QB to do that, because the CJ Stroud, having that season was more of an exception, not really the standard. And not to mention, the Texans also had a better roster set up for success, clearly, because they made the playoffs and won a playoff game, and the Panthers are pretty far from doing that. And, you just have to build around the QB and then get the QB. I think you need to do it in that order, because if you try and get a QB when you're not ready for one, it's going to just be this whole mess of him having horrible seasons and him losing some confidence too. And you just have to get a team that is ready for a rookie quarterback before getting the rookie quarterback. I feel like a lot of teams don't do that because they're impatient. I've talked about this. Teams want results immediately, but that's not how it works. You have to build up your team. It's a process. It's a long process, and it sucks, but that's just what you have to do. There's a reason why, most people can't be in the NFL. They can't, build these rosters up. They can't play at the position at a very high level. It's hard. And a lot of people and, even some, coaches as well are just growing super impatient with, some of the shit that's going on. And you just have to, take a step back and just realize the position you're in and go from there. I feel like you just have to figure it out, and teams don't do that, and they just try and get some immediate results. And I think that's what the Panthers thought was going to happen when they did do the Bryce Young trade, because they sacrificed some of their roster by not keeping their first round picks. And they also, didn't do much to help him before his rookie season. So it's like, can you really be surprised that he failed? They didn't do much to help him. But, hopefully he'll do better his next season. But I think this should be a lesson to other NFL teams that you should just build your team before you get your quarterback. I wouldn't try to go and force yourself to get a quarterback. Unless you genuinely think he is the guy, you need to just make sure that your roster is, talented enough to where he can succeed and not have a nightmare rookie season. And then you worry about getting a QB. Because, what's the point of having a star rookie QB if you're not going to set them up for success? You know what I mean? You can't just do that. A lot of teams think that, if they get a QB, they're a QB away or something like that. But you have to be real with yourself. A lot of teams are delusional like this. My team, the Broncos, is probably one of the most delusional teams out there. They signed Russell Wilson to a big deal, thinking we were a QB away, but we had to sacrifice picks. We had to sacrifice our roster. And it's safe to say we were very far from a QB away. We were basically a whole team away. And I think the Panthers, obviously the Panthers aren't as an extreme of an example because they didn't pay Bryce Young a shit ton of money like the Broncos paid Russell Wilson a shit ton of money. And they still have a chance with him. I feel like if they still have the ability to fix it. The question is, will they fix it the right way? Because if they don't fix it the right way, it's going to be more the same with Bryce Young and his inability to play well because of the lack of help with the roster. So hopefully they'll figure it out. I don't think they'll make the playoffs or anything this season. They could, but I really don't see it. I think the only way they will make the playoffs is if Bryce Young absolutely goes off in his next season, and I really don't see that happening. So that's about all I got to say about the real Carolina Panthers. So we'll go ahead and shift our focus to the Madden 24 game we're playing. And we're getting completely fucking smacked around right now. We're down 28-0, which should be a surprise to no one considering that we're the Panthers and we're playing against the Eagles, one of the best rosters in Madden versus one of the worst rosters in Madden. But we do convert a 4th down and 1 to make it 1st down and goal at the 1 yard line. So maybe we can score a touchdown because we haven't scored a single point yet. As 1st down and goal passes, it's dropped. That was a pass right to my guy, but he is unable to make the reception. 2nd down and goal pass is incomplete again. Chuba Hubbard couldn't hang on to that. 3rd down and goal. Come on, we got to score here. We're so close. And we do just that as Chuba Hubbard is able to rush it in for a touchdown to make this a 22-point game. And we're going to go for 2 as well. And this is picked off as we just tried to force that there. And you can't do that because if you force a pass, defense will be ready for it. Kind of like how the Panthers forced the Bryce Young pick. As we'll do the onside kick it up, and the Eagles will make the reception there, or the recovery, whatever you want to call it. And they'll have the ball up by 22, and they will do a play action pass. Jalen Hurts back to pass. Wide open is Quez Watkins, as that is horrible coverage. I'm pretty sure that was Dante Jackson who was covering him too, so maybe some silver lining there if you're a Panthers fan watching this video, as the PAT is up and good, and now it is even worse than it already was. Now instead of being down by 28, we're down by 29. And the Eagles have full momentum, unsurprisingly, because when you're up by that much, usually that's what happens. And we'll see how we respond. If we can pull off some miracle and manage to win this game. But, you got to be real. That's probably not going to happen, especially when Bryce Young is getting rushed immediately like he has been a lot in this game. And he has no one really to throw to as well. And that's just been evident in this game. I haven't talked about it a lot because I've been focusing on the Panthers IRL, but, that's kind of backs up what I was saying about him not having help last season. As we throw a pick there, Eagles have the ball up by 29, and this game about as set in stone as a game can be. As they hand off to DeAndre Swift, we'll see if the Eagles melt the clock or try and score again. If it's what I think it's going to be, I'm pretty sure he'll score again, because that's what a lot of people in Madden like to do. They like to run up the score and basically kind of be dickheads about the fact that they're up by a lot. Like, they don't have much respect for opposing players that they're beating by a lot. But there's not a whole lot I can do about that, so I'm just going to do my job and commentate the game. Not going to get into the whole toxic Madden community that there is. First down and goal, we get a stop there. Second down and goal, 2-minute warning approaches us. Down at the 6 are the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts is going to throw a screen pass, but that is incomplete as he overshoots his target, which was probably a good thing because the Panthers actually had that covered pretty well. Third down and goal, pitch to DeAndre Swift, and no one is within 10 yards of him as he gets an easy touchdown. And the Eagles will extend their lead by 35-36 with this made PAT. Yep, they do. And yeah, this is an ugly, ugly game. I don't think I've ever played as bad as I have in this game in a while, which is weird to say because I honestly kind of suck at Madden 24. But, this game was a nightmare from start to finish to play just because you have a team that's not, super talented, so it's hard to work with them. But video is over, game is over. It's been over for probably the whole second half. And that's going to do it for this video. Eagles win this one 42-6. And we'll just take a quick look at the stats here, as much as I really don't want to. Jalen Hurts had 4 touchdowns and 0 picks, and Bryce Young had the exact opposite of that, 0 touchdowns and 4 picks. And that's about the story of how this game went. DeAndre Swift led in rushing. Bryce Young led, and he was second in rushing. And one thing in this game that we probably should have done more that we didn't do, because I kind of get impatient as well when it comes to playing the game, is we didn't run the ball as much as we should have. Because if you try and pass the ball every time, that one is not good because you're way more prone to turnovers, and it also helps your opponent out tremendously because they know what you're going to try to do. But that's all I got for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.